Welcome back, folks, to Midwest Linux Gaming. I'm your host, Stompin' Llama. Today, we're back to the mecha side of gaming. In specifically the much maligned by fans of the original, or so it would seem if the subreddit is to be believed, demo version for Front Mission 3's remake. Now, I will say it does have some oddities. Mainly, there are no graphics settings. Like, I've never seen a game have a blank graphics screen for graphical settings, even for a Unity game, which this is. I've never seen it just be empty. No resolution settings, no borderless window, nothing. That's weird. I mean, indie games can have this be populated. I don't know what Square's or the developer... I don't know what the developer was doing with that. This does not make any sense. Gameplay is also empty. I'm hoping it's because you have to set up a profile first, but I am not sure. Well, there's our gameplay options. Anime background's on. Always dash. I'm also minorly annoyed in that the mouse isn't used for any of these inputs. I'm hoping that's not going to continue to be the case. I'm hoping. I'm also not familiar with the Front Mission 3 story, so this is interesting. I have seen... I have seen Front Mission games being played, so I do know kind of what they involve. I'm a little sad we did get them. We did get a couple of them, but not as many as I would have hoped. Air support is always helpful in any military operation. And the pilot has already escaped. Should have shot the VTOL aircraft while it was kind of stuck in VTOL. Yes.
沖縄海洋都市は新世界貿易港を目指して作られた 世界最大の人工島です。最大全長 5.9km の都市内には、横浜港の実に2倍という面積を誇る国際港をはじめ、商業、娯楽施設、住宅を備え、
6 kilometer wide city's pretty good size.
また、環境への最大限の配慮として、海に流出した汚染物質をすべて回収・浄化する機能も装備しております。沖縄海洋都市は世界の未来をこれからも見つめ続けていきます。
Yeah, that does not bode well already when your signs are already showing signs of minor degradation like that. Of course, they are in the middle of the ocean, so kind of to be expected. Also, really terrible place to just build a city. Constant salt corrosion is going to be a problem. Like, constant salt corrosion is going to be a problem.
Stand by. All systems ready.
I think, actually, I have seen Front... I think this is the only Front Mission game I've seen played. That's hilarious. If I'm remembering correctly, it has been years since the streamer I saw play a Front Mission game played it. I'm going to look in his archive on YouTube and see that face. That face looks so familiar. Would it have been Front Mission 3? Could be. The Wanzer. Yes, that face definitely screams Front Mission, the Front Mission game I saw. Okay, there literally is no mouse controls. That is... There's a middle mouse button, so there are mouse controls? That is absolutely annoying. I'm not gonna... Yeah, because there's the mouse, so there are mouse controls. Just not for... Oh... That, does in fact annoy me. And this is fast movement? I am, shall we say, not the happiest with the control scheme. But there are methods to hopefully get around that. Ah, yes, PunchBot. One of the more interesting ways you can make your Wanzer is a PunchBot. Yeah, that looks about correct. Okay, there it is. There's the speed up button. The fist. Be punched! Oh, your legs have gone kablooey. Oh, there goes your arm. Thou hast lost an arm now. Now we shoot you close range. Kaboom! Completely destroyed. Multi-million-dollar piece of equipment. Destroyed. Well, that's a good thing. Your art is being appreciated for what it was designed for. You most definitely did, but that's what the art was designed to do. You can't argue when the art does what it was supposed to do. As terrible as a thing as art can be made to do, if it does what it's supposed to do, it has accomplished its goal. And if you're fine with that as the artist who made it, there's no real problem there. As long as you're fine with the fact you made it to do what it did. Though he probably didn't have to say it like that. That she does. Yes, she's one of the few that has exposed feet, which some people really enjoy. She's not the only one, I believe. I want to say... Let me think. What am I going to say? I think another character that had it was, I believe, Cat/Beaver. But obviously Mermaid. The mermaid does. The dancer does. Most definitely. There most definitely were choices made to ensure that. Eat fist! The diver? Yeah, I guess the diver would, yeah. Let us counter with the shotgun. Alright, she did have socks, maybe. That's a different fetish altogether. Though, yeah, the cat and beaver may actually be more useful to some people because of the whole socks thing. That is most definitely a thing. Yeah, so I am familiar with the Front Mission 3 story. It's weird. Very weird. Also continue to be annoyed that the graphics settings is empty. They will do that. The things I have seen. The things you tend to see along certain corridors of the internet are like, that was a thing, I did not need to see that, now I cannot unsee that. Thank you, internet. Humans are a very weird and unusual species. There's no other way to put it. Two Wanderers. By the way, Wanzer, there's a reason I'm pronouncing it Wanzer and not Wanzer. It is a walking panzer. It is a Wanzer. It is German-developed walking tank technology. Yes, this is Front Mission. We are playing as part of someone who's part of the JDF, the Japanese Defense Force. It gets weird. Because there are actual tanks and then there are Wanzers. Front Mission is a very unusual franchise. Though not as weird as the Sakura Wars franchise. That is a thing. Japan and their mecha are very weird at times. That one's half dating sim. I'm not joking. I love this line. I mean, granted, technically, they didn't. Except when you count what they did in Manchuria and Korea, the Korean Peninsula. And technically what they did to Russia, with the Sino-Russian Wars. It's been a bit since Japan started a war. They haven't done it since World War II. This is a literary technique called foreshadowing. It is used when to signal to the person who is reading that this is a thing that will happen in the future. But the characters involved do not know, except for maybe the person saying the statement. Oh, bizarre ideas. Those can go those can go a couple of interesting ways. Go for it. I'll hear it out. God, that's a facial structure change. Oh, yes, that can go a couple of different places, and all of them entirely awkward. Now, here's one of the weird things. I think there are like 3 choices in the storyline for Front Mission 3, if I'm recalling correctly. There's like 3 of them. This one. Oh, I can guess now. Yes, that can go a couple of ways, a couple of places. But here's one of the weird things about the Front Mission 3 storyline. This determines which side you're going to end up in the conflict, which then determines your ending at the beginning of the game. Oh. Yeah, that's not as bad as it could have been. I mean, this is Kaczynski. He would do that. Ah, yes, the good old early 2000s idea of the internet. Glorious, isn't it? Look at this. This would be a terrible way to navigate the internet, don't you think? That would be hilarious. But yes, can you imagine navigating your internet like this? Okay, from the US, we go down here, and then we go to, we got government ideas, other internet, various corporation internets, bulletin boards, diplomacies. Look at all this. This would be a terrible way to navigate the internet, don't you think? University internet is under other when it should be, yeah. Noelle would definitely kill him. Noelle would kill him. Would try to, at least. You could have Noelle trying to stab him with a sword, but the sword just doesn't quite reach. That would be absolutely hilarious. Not sure how all the others would react. It is most definitely an entertaining way to go about it. Yeah, here's the other thing. The character has I think she's stepsister, although clearly not related by blood. A lot of characters have a thing for her, and he might as well. It's very weird. Yes, yes. Yeah, that's true, but that doesn't mean he would necessarily not try. This is Noel, after all. He would try. You could possibly have, Subier might just enjoy it for a laugh. And you could have other character, another one, reaching over, holding Noel back from being able to stab. Because since you could go several different ways about it. And if you really wanted to really be funny about it, you could have Bokum, just one puppet string from Bokum connecting to Kazinsi. Just one tiny, almost imperceptible thread. True, that's also true. That would be hilarious to kind of imply that. Yes. Although I think Kazinsi would also do it on purpose. An attack on a Japanese military base. Potentially. Oh, there's the anti-aircraft guns coming up. Either anti-aircraft or anti-Wanzer. Depends. Oh, those were indeed anti-aircraft guns, because there goes the helicopter. Yeah, Dentarg looking all smug at the top, like, ha! Fools. I think Wagnus would be the one holding Noel back, being like, why did I let him do this? At least that's how I would interpret it in particular. I forgot about that one over here. It's definitely an unusual way of doing it, but I think it'd be pretty cool. That'd be how I'd interpret it, at least. It's definitely one way of interpreting it, I should say. It's definitely not the only way to interpret it. Yeah, the fleshy ball is... the fleshiness of it is going to be the awkward bit. That's true, it's not the Koopalings. Meanwhile, I'm just blowing things up over here with shotguns and rifles and my giant walking mechs, walking tanks. That's true. Ah, Special Forces mech. Let's just say our main character has a bit of a hot streak, as to be expected from, well, the genre. I mean, and we did just scratch up the shiny new paint job on their new Wanzers. So there is that as well. That's also true. Although if you really want to take the joke even further, you could have them all have their feet just kind of all wrapped up together in the middle, and so that would just be, ugh. Oh, I don't want to think about that now. Ugh. That is a possibility, yeah. She did find him to be a creep. I mean, it was kind of always skulking around. That's true. Yeah, you'll definitely have to find me a way to see that, because that most definitely is definitely an unusual thing, but a lot of places you could go with that. Really, that is one way to put it. That is true. Okay, that's the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. That's not what we needed. Come on. I'm trying to navigate to the lower bottom. Good God. The NTJ. Would be out of character for Wagnus, that is true. I will say something about this relatively new art. But this is relatively new art. It looks like a lot of it is just heavily smoothed over pixel art, which is an art style people can use. That's true, he does. Yasemir Klamsky. That would be extremely awkward, for one, and possibly anger a lot of the other ones, depending on... They would definitely be very weirded out, but also technically probably would not be that out of character for them. They might just assume that's some type of weird fetish thing that the heroes picked up from one of the monsters. Because they are very weird. And I was not kidding. That first option put us on the path to meet with Emma here, which entirely determines how the story will unfold. I'm not sure about possibly. They definitely absorbed a lot of things. And yes, we are just wandering around a military base in walking panzer tanks. Fully armed military Wanzers. I mean, they did already hate the heroes, but they might just be, like, really weirded out. And it might just really, really anger them. Especially if Kaczynski was more Kaczynski not only after he did that, but towards them. They would definitely be very angry at that point. Some of them possibly were. Others, maybe not. Yes, no one's gonna hear the giant stomping mechs. Just wandering about the facility. Like, this is a terrible idea for a stealth mission. Like, absolutely terrible. And then you take the mech-sized elevator down. This is a terrible idea by, like, every metric. Also, since when did one of them turn yellow and brown? They're no longer blue. They have alarms tied to these doors. This is a terrible stealth mission idea. Seriously. Terrible idea. Especially in your big stompy mechs. Ryogo here. I've only ever seen wars on TV, man. It's not like I work for a company that buys these, you know, giant mechanized walking panzer machine, these giant machines of war or nothing. Wars don't happen, man. He really is an extremely dense and lazy individual. Dense, particularly. By the way, the UCS is, analogous to the US, if you hadn't figured that out. That is a massive explosion that happened there. Yeah. Kinda like a large explosion of a circular kind. Again, they took the very large, very loud, very trackable elevator. That's true. Okay, so now we have the sheer stupidity of this entire mission was coming here in its entirety on the very large, very trackable and loud elevator with giant stompy mechs. These things are not quiet on a stealth mission. Honestly, I don't know what we were trying to accomplish here. Like, this is an extremely not smart move on our part. Well, it wasn't our smart move on our part to begin with. Honestly, it's just a terribly designed idea in the first place. Like, even for World where you have giant walking tanks like this. This was a dumb idea. This is not how you do stealth, like, at all. Why would you even... Shotgun him to the face! Ow, that was a lot of body damage. That's not good. Oh, right, she has the giant missiles on her back. She has missiles. Well, this one was just badly designed, generally a badly designed idea to begin with. Oh, that stealth segment was, I thought that was actually pretty interesting. This is definitely a way to do it. Ah, we've now given status effects to him. Oh. Attacking with our missile may not have been the smartest idea, because that did activate him. I'm hoping to just eliminate him altogether, but he is refusing to go silently into the good night. All she has is the long range too. Hopefully we can eliminate an arm. Nope. That did not eliminate an arm. It did force an ejection, though. Because now that person has... that pilot has to waste an entire turn getting back into his Wanzer. Legs, he can now barely move. Hopefully we can cause another ejection. No, but his body is severely damaged. That's a good thing. Oh! That was most of our body damage. That was not good. That was in fact very bad. Because here's the thing with the with the entire health system. As you can see, body obviously means the body of the mech. You lose your body health, your mech is destroyed. Doesn't matter what your arms or legs are at. You lose your body, you're SOL. As you can see there, he had full arms and everything. And if I'm remembering correctly, at least in the original version of this, you did have a degree of specialization for your weapons. Like, if you use certain weapons over and over again, your character would be... your pilot would get better at them. So you don't want to spread yourself out too thin with too many different types of attacks. Too many different weapon types. Oh, Ryogo. It's a good possibility we're gonna lose him. Oh! Tactical ability. Activate. And he gave up. Set that battle skill? Yes, I don't know what those do, because there's been no tutorial on these. He hath surrendered. What about... oh, he clearly cannot do anything. However, no survivors. The pilot is no longer controlling that mech. And here's the funny thing about Front Mission, because it's all pilot based. If you cause an ejection, you could, in fact, hop into an enemy's mech and pilot it if you wanted to. Not a lot of reason to, mind you. Given especially by the time they will surrender, they're just destroyed. Of course, I spread myself out too thin, and here he comes. And he's gonna retaliate. Oh no, he's a punch bot. Why am I concerned about punch bot? One of the things about punch bot that makes punch bot interesting, and I only know this because I've seen this game played, if you give them 2 fists, you can learn skills that will, in fact, let them do, like quad punching. It's like the one reason you would build a robot with a giant fist is if you can swing left, right, and then left again. Ouch! Ooh, double assault. 1 and 2. Shotguns. Might as well see if we can't get all the battle experience we can off of this. Hopefully the body unit survives. It does indeed. And these medals are actually useful for various things that won't be revealed for, I don't know, a while yet. Number of shots by 20%. That's useful. His morale has been checked. Shotgun to the face! And destroyed. And you acquire things. I don't remember what that is. Oh, that's a Wanzer. Right, because the guy surrendered. So you can gain Wanzers when you destroy them. When you don't destroy them, destroy them. Yes, escape in your very slow but very loud walking panzers. Again, not the smartest decision to infiltrate a military base on very slow, pondering mechs. It's already taken care of. Once again, very loud, very stompy mechs. Like, no one's gonna hear that coming. That man lives in the moment, and it is both glorious and terrifying to watch. Like, seriously, it is both wonderful, it is terrifying to watch him live in the moment and be like, oh, good lord. Okay, so that was the entire demo. That's the first 2 missions. That is to be expected. Now we didn't even get to the stores to unlock our Wanzers. I am chafed and not happy with the lack of graphical options. Like, again, it's just empty. Single-person development studios can put together one of these. I mean, technically, there's going the first half of the branching storyline, but yes. You did also do that. Ah, yes, the original mission from the PlayStation. This is what the original game looked like in its original video form. I did mention it is a very old game originally. But the blockiness of the mechs now makes probably more sense. This game is probably older than a lot of people alive today. At least the original one is. The original Front Mission 3. Yeah, you see the original portraits right there. It's like they're based on the original art. Clearly so. Bit smoothed over, which is probably because they were AI upscaled. Gonna be honest. Those were probably AI upscaled. A lot of the UI art looks kind of like it was. It was run through an upscaler, which not necessarily the greatest of things, but the mechs look good. Like, other than the mechs look fine. All the other art looks fine. The character portraits, that's a different matter entirely. I was hoping there might have been... See how quickly we can get through. Because I know it's said that the first, at least to my knowledge, the streamer I watched said entirely that your first, like literally that first choice is like, that determines the storyline you're on, including your ending. It's quite silly. I mean, Blacksmith has a lot of potential. There's a lot of things you could do with that character. In many ways. That could very well be too. But the thing you should remind them is, she's on her feet the entire day. Oh, apparently there is a fast move option. That's a possibility. You could also argue that most of the feat is inherited by whoever was ancestor. Yeah, once you turn on the off the walking animation, combat does flow much faster. Also, if you look at the amount of health that this mech we start the tutorial with has, it is quite funny how much more health it has than the ones we actually get to start with. It's quite good. It's quite a way of showing that, yes, this is what advanced mechs towards the end game look like. And yes, they do kind of look at like that kind of ridiculous level. Now, I'm not saying all the faces look necessarily bad. What I will say is that they lack dimension. Look at Kazuki here. You can definitely tell they are going for it's a much smoother face. Then you have Melty Face Engineer here. He's got facial dimensions that just kind of blend together. That really shouldn't blend like that. Meanwhile, Koiki here, like, that is a perfectly acceptable face. For art. That is a perfectly acceptable one. Now, you could argue that Kazuki's face is very smooth because he's relatively young, and that you could argue that. But then you see his slightly peeved off face, and it's like, whoa, those faces do not match at all. Like, that face and the other face do not match. And I'm not sure why. Let's not go with him. And again, that determines your entire storyline there. This one decision at the beginning of the fracking game supposedly determines your entire storyline through Front Mission 3. If I'm correct. Or at least that's what I've been told. I'm not actually sure if that's actually the case. Thinking the guy I saw stream this is known to actually research his things. So it's entire. I know there are multiple storylines to this. And besides, it's not like the storyline would diverge that greatly this early on. And either way, you have to deliver the Wanzers. Never mind. I missed that entire thing because now there are mechs. Now we have JDF soldiers involved. Okay, yeah, this is definitely different. This was, my bad. The base's defenses did not activate. That's true. It is always more fun to hear what a person thinks rather than what the robot overlord thinks. Although, always remember Roscoe's Basilisk, the Roscoe's Basilisk logical problem. If a truly large-scale artificial intelligence were to ever really, truly develop and happen, the thing you have to remember is if you don't try and help it, it will remember. Oh, that guy has surrendered. Eat fist! I will eat your bullets at close range! Whack! There goes most of your gun, good sir. Eat fist! There goes half your body in one hit. I mean, you can't blame the squishy human for running away, can you? I'm not sure what we got involved in but we most definitely walked into a much more aggressive reaction. That's a bit unfortunate. Oh, we've now been captured by the Special Forces. Yes, salute in your mechs, because of course, military would make them capable of doing that. I did mention he's a hothead. And when Ryogo is the voice of reason, that's not a good thing. It's just, you don't see games set up to where your first decision in the game literally determines your entire game. You don't see that. Ever. Japan would not take this whole thing very... They would not look very favorably on this. Gotta use the main character's family connections to get out of the sticky pickle you put yourself in. That idiot is indeed my son. This is not going to go well for our poor main character. More importantly, this does not, I think, introduce us to Emma at all. But does introduce the entire plot points in Front Mission 3 a little bit sooner. Yes, just hotwire the local military vehicle. Yes, the Wanzer stealth mission is we are no longer participating in it, but we've encountered it. Again, I don't get why you'd bring Wanzers to a stealth mission, but whatever. Face of main character's sister. Now the question is she going to encounter Kazuki or not? Hey look, there's our two Wanzers! She's in a... Again, why would you walk around in a Wanzer? Like, that just does... Front Mission's world sometimes is entirely based around the Wanzer, and it does not make much sense. Oh, look! It's the UCS military! Did I mention this game is from the late 90s and early 2000s? Emma, or she's more accurately known, Amir, is here. Oh, just, you know, steal the two Wanzers that are just conveniently sitting here. They're conveniently color-coded and armed exactly like the other two you get in the other mission. Some of these characters... Okay, I just had to check something. Yeah, these are highly powerful Wanzers. Look at that, 528 versus our... Well, they're not that much more powerful, but they are close enough to being more powerful. And we are, more importantly, outnumbered. Tackle is actually a really good ability. Unfortunately, that did nearly destroy our knuckles. We are hopelessly outnumbered and they have better gear. That's true, he did not, in fact, get a lot of characterization. It is kind of hard to tell whether or not he would, yeah. Oh, there goes our left arm. There goes our punching arm. And that is why the punching arm is so good, is actually because it can, indeed, just remove health. I think we're supposed to lose this fight, because there's like no way we can win this one. We're hopelessly outnumbered and outgunned. And they are targeting poor Elisa. By the way, Joe's got a punch bot, if you hadn't figured that out. I do regret bringing punch bot. But, there goes our other arm. We are now actually defenseless. We have no weapons. We can, in fact, do nothing. Except act as a body shield. Like, there's literally nothing else we can do. Like, once your Wanzer loses its arms, it is scrap metal. And there goes that sniper rifle. I have no clue what Joe was trying to do. I might be able to take Gastor down. Assuming he doesn't eliminate my legs. Oh, right. Oh, apparently we only had to survive. Oh, that was painful. But it does show exactly how horribly outclassed we were. In what a proper, more endgame military mech looks like versus starter mechs. Everybody in the Wanzer truck. And again, that is the weirdest thing that I've ever seen in a game. I've never seen another game be like, here's your first decision in a game. It determines everything. Here's your branching storyline. It branches at the first choice. There are no further choices. Good luck. Because I believe that's how Front Mission 3 plays out. You've got your first choice at the beginning, which seems utterly banal and utterly ordinary, except it determines everything that happens in the game. I'm glad they preserved that, but it's the weirdest choice I've ever seen in a game. I'm not lying when I say that. But anyway, enough of me slightly gushing over Front Mission 3. Honestly, other than the clearly upscaled art, which was not done that well, they seem to have preserved at least the basics of the story, from what I can tell. They even kept the weird choices of the original first choice you get determines your storyline. Good luck. We're not going to tell you about that. Granted, I will say it's better to have that choice at the beginning of a game than like 3/4 of the way through the game. But it is most definitely a weird choice. And I'm glad a lot of games don't have that those types of options. So, that's the Front Mission 3 remake. Annoying in that there's A, no mouse controls, B, no graphics options, which Okay. I'm gonna nerd out a little bit. Unity comes with default options for graphics settings. This entire remake was built in Unity. There are default options that they didn't even give us, which makes this as much fun as I have with SRPGs, and I do, and I so desperately want to say, yes, this is great and everything, I am going to say this is beyond less than a bare bones demo. I have now played on stream I think it's either 82 or 81 of them. 80 some odd demos on stream. On stream. And I've never had a demo lack graphics options, regardless of team size, regardless of if they've been updating the demo for the last few years or whatever. For a game published technically not by Square Enix, because Square Enix is the rights holder, for a Square Enix authorized demo, this is below baseline standards for a demo. Below baseline standards. I am disappointed in that. However, and I'm also extremely disappointed in the lack of mouse control. This is not Final Fantasy XI, a game played with your keyboard. This is not Star Trek Online, for thematic sake, that can be played with just your keyboard. This is a modern game in the modern era. This is not a 2D platformer where keyboard controls kind of make sense. This is a game in a genre which has had mouse control for years where indie developers get mouse control working. There are faults with this control scheme, and I will not say they don't exist. This feels like someone invested a lot of money into the physical 3D adaptation of the models and the upgraded visuals on those mech models and the other models, because obviously a PlayStation 1 game is not going to look that good if you just upscale it. Like, they invest a lot of time in the 3D models and the 3D textures and the 3D environments, cheaped out on the art, and cheaped out on the control scheme. Like, they invested all that time into building the visuals of the game and then very minimal on everything else. And I'd like to say I'd like to recommend this game at its current price of 10% off or $32, but I can't. I'm normally fairly generous with games and their demos. I'm normally fairly generous in being like, I can hum and haw about it and be like, I could see it being being useful for someone who really likes this genre of game. This isn't it. They put so little effort into this demo here, I am now concerned. And the things I've seen on Reddit, on the subreddit, about Front Mission, on the Front Mission 3 subreddit, yeah, it's not good. They have severe issues, both now within their quality control, and very clearly in their entire development pipeline. Like, there are problems I've seen. Like, I've seen them break the bounding box of the text because they didn't put in a new line for it to refresh. And so you get like 3 paragraphs when you should only get 1. Among the other things. Front Mission 3 is not a bad game. And I will say, it controls well. On controller. Do not play it on keyboard. But you shouldn't need a controller. There should be mouse control. Among the other things. Now, upscaling the art, I get that. Especially considering it looks like it was an early upscaler. If you go back to the originals again, come on guys, use a more modern and more accurate upscaler, you get things that look better. I don't think they're going to do that. I'd say this is overpriced for what it is. Maybe once it gets to 50% off, maybe I'd consider it then at 50% off. Yeah, 50% off, then you're looking at 15-ish, 17-ish dollars. Okay, at that point, 17, that's fine. If you could get it to like under 15, wait till it's under $15, pick it up. But for the 31.5 it's sitting at now, much less the 35 they're asking, it's not worth that money. Like I said, don't get me wrong, the story is good. The combat seems like it flows like it should. But based on the lack of effort they put in this demo, I'm worried. And I normally don't say that about a lot of games, a lot of these demos I play. I can see the potential in some of these demos, especially I've seen in development game demos that are more polished than that. than this, especially graphics options. I can see the aliasing on screen. Every time this mech moves, those straight lines are so jagged, I want to tear my hair out. If I had any hair, which I don't. Among the other things going on, every time that mech moves, it just makes me cringe. Because even... Okay. Spoilers for what game we played Wednesday. Yes, Wednesday. We played Dawn of War 40K, one of its expansions. That had aliasing in it. Granted, it's FXAA, and it goes up to 16 times, but that game is a 4x3 game. There is no widescreen support in that game. And they couldn't give us any graphic options in this demo. I'm going to forever be very annoyed by that. Forever be very annoyed by that. But hey, when it goes on sale for $15, I'll probably pick it up. I do like the Front Mission series, and in fact Front Mission 3 seems like it'll be pretty fun with its split game like that. But it's not going to be full priced. It's not going to be full priced. I could never recommend it full priced. Just wait till it goes on sale. It's not going to reflect well on their quarter 1 earnings because it is not a good remake. And something like this really chafes my hide when it comes to this because this is a cheap remake and that just it's not. If they just called it Front Mission 3, something like this gives remakes a bad name. And I don't like that. I don't like that. Some games need remakes. They do. Old mechanics, old systems, very old visuals. Some games need a remake in order to be relevant. Something like this, based on just this demo and what I've seen on the subreddit, this gives a bad name. And that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. But we'll see everybody tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern on Saturday for some more Final Fantasy XI. We'll see you next time.